I just took a Polish shower.
Nice. All right. Welcome back to the Real Estate Locker Room Show, folks. I'm your host, John Carney, and thank you for taking some time out of your busy day to tune in. So today is awesome. It is episode number 100 with my good friend and real estate mentor and the man that helped America Property Source get on the map in Melbourne, Australia, John Williams. And he was also guest on the very first guest we had. So this is pretty cool to bring Johnny back for episode 100 and hear how his real estate success story has evolved over the last 3 or 4 years. So if this is your first time tuning into the Real Estate Locker Room Show, welcome. This is the show that believes real estate is a team sport, and we like to explore the intersection of competitive real estate and competitive sports. So that's what we're all about. Hopefully you're going to pick up some actionable advice today that'll help you raise the bar in your real estate game. How you doing today, Johnny?
Mr. Carney, good to see you again, buddy. Thanks for having me back on. And we're live from the JWJ Ranch.
That's pretty cool. And that is where?
It's about an hour north of Phoenix, Camp Verde, Arizona, right on the beautiful Verde River.
I mean, Johnny, you've got so many cool real estate success stories, right? And the ranch is one of them. But, why don't we stretch out real quick and just say, hey, I know you grew up playing football and what kind of sports are you into these days?
These days, 12-ounce curls of Coors Light sometimes.
Nice.
But I like to spend a lot of time up here at the ranch, avid outdoorsman. I got 12 horses, pretty much anything outdoors. My business partner tells me I need to get in the gym more, but I don't like the city as much anymore, so I'm never down there.
Imagine that, and especially in 2020. So, you're big into fishing, right?
Yeah. Just grew up. My dad was a big backpacker, camper, and fisherman. So I grew an affinity for the outdoors, and I bought this place 10 years ago when it was just a piece of dirt, when I didn't have a pot to piss in, and now I've turned it into what it is today, which is a blessing, and just very fortunate to be able to come up here and live and do anything outdoors that I want. It's great.
That's awesome, man. I just saw your chicken and your rooster walk by, and it looks like you got a tractor over there in the back as well. So living the dream.
Yeah, and we got grapes. We've got a riding arena back there, some mini donkeys and horses. You name it, ATVs, all the fun you could ever want to have.
That is awesome, and I can't wait to get out there with the family and visit. Your real estate story, and we met probably 10 years ago when we were launching America Property Source in Melbourne. A ton has happened since then.
Oh yeah.
And then we talk a lot about the guidance and the advice that you started us out with in single family homes. You're a specialist, we'll say, in mobile home parks. I've gone into multifamily. The basics are the basics. And let's kind of pick up where we left off in 2017, 3 years ago. What have you and what has J&J Real Estate been up to, and how have you seen the progress unfold over the last 3 years?
And once again, it's great to catch up. One of my fondest memories and of you guys is just being able to be there in the beginning and then come full circle today and see where you're at and where we're at. And I think back in 2017 we were doing houses mainly, and it's been fun to adapt to the real estate market and its cycles and ups and downs. And when one asset class is kind of not performing as well, you switch on to another one. And that's kind of what we've done, is we've now leapfrogged from houses to solely doing mobile home parks. So since then we've sold all of our houses for the most part. Joe and I each kept a few, but we had 50 or so houses. And then we have since sold all of those and exchanged all of them into mobile home parks. And now we've got 25 or 26 parks with enough residual income to, we've got our office set up. And, my partner, Joe, he's moved to Newport Beach in California, and I spend most of my time up here at the ranch. So that, those parks allow us to do that. And then now we just get to focus on bigger, better parks, buying more, picking and choosing what we want to do. Whereas I think you can attest to this too. When you're younger in the real estate game, you're just kind of hustling and doing anything and everything that you can and having as many irons in the fire. But now it feels good to be able to kind of sit back, somewhat, reap the fruits that we've sown, and sit back and wait for more deals. But yeah, we're slowly looking at mobile home parks now, and we own and operate them.
That's awesome. I mean, like to give, so I just looked it up. We started this podcast in March of 2017. And so to rewind the clock back to that date, which we kind of talked about, but go ahead and so for anyone who's tuning in today, if you haven't heard episode 1, go back and you'll get the full Johnny Williams story. But, kind of just the highlights. Your team and your crew that I was fortunate enough to partner with back in 2010, when we started APS, give an idea of how many transactions you've done, because there's very few people that I have met since that have the deal volume and the skill set and just were so focused on one asset class, and then we're able to leverage and springboard up. So can you just give the listeners who don't know your story a brief snapshot of the numbers?
Yeah, and I appreciate those words, John. But it is true. I haven't met many people that live, breathe, eat, and sleep real estate like my partner and I, Joe, have for the past 11 years in our partnership. And this is my 21st year being a real estate investor. And back when I started, I got my feet wet managing mobile home parks for a private real estate company, and did that for a few years until I decided to go off on my own. And that's when I learned the wholesale business, wholesaling single family houses, and got real good at that. And that was back before there was any internet gurus, anything on the internet about it. It was, kind of like you had to meet a guy in the back alley to get the foreclosure list. And I did that real well, and sold several thousand homes, which, gave me the ability to be able to acquire many, many properties through various source, trustee sales, probate, pre-foreclosure, distressed sales, you name it. And it was definitely my drug for many, many years, just the making a deal. And that's who my friends were and who I hung out with, and we did it good. And then I started J&J with my partner, Joe Orlandini, in 2010. So, and he was my little brother's best friend growing up, and the son of the first boss that I ever had out here, who taught me my first 3 years in real estate. So he'd already had somewhat of a pedigree in real estate, and was kind of born into it. At least the we buy ugly things mentality, which a lot of people still don't get. But, we started out, and it was right after the GFC in 2008 when the bottom fell out of the market. And I had already, as a broker, procured hundreds of deals for several small funds. And then actually Colony Capital came through, and I actually found them their first 100 deals of their portfolio where they bought 30,000 homes. I was the guy that sold them their first 100. Not that that means anything, but little claim to fame. And after I did that, I said, you know what? I don't want to, miss out on buying. I don't want to be just a transactional income kind of guy. I want to be the buyer. So went and interviewed a couple people to be kind of partners, and the obvious and glad I made the right choice with Joe Orlandini. And we partnered up, and that year, and neither of us really had any money. I mean, he didn't have any money. He just graduated college. I barely had any money. Probably still owed a ton in taxes. had a subprime mortgage and believe just got divorced after a 6-month marriage. So we made a goal we went out and bought 50 houses that year, and another 50 houses the next year, and probably another 50 for investors. And so we ended up with actually 100 after the first year, which was just amazing. But that's when prices were rock bottom, and we were borrowing from anybody that would lend to us, friends and family, and begging Peter to pay Paul. And then actually the next year, which multifamily follows single family, and we decided to buy apartments. At least that's what I said. We're going to buy apartments. And Joe was like, what? That's crazy. And so that next year we bought 52 apartments that were mainly 3-plexes, 4-plexes, up to like 16-plexes. And then ended up selling half of our portfolio to buy out our investors so that we could own wholly our other half of our houses. And so basically what we've done is we've segued from single family, buying a bunch of building blocks, as many as we could with ourselves, and then raising money with investors. And we continued to build our portfolios until we had enough where we could then segue into apartments. We did that, bought 52 apartment buildings. And these aren't, huge 20-unit apartment buildings. These are, like I said, anything from duplex to 16-plex. But it is being able to control real estate. I always tell people that is what you want to do anyway. Any which way you can do it, controlling real estate will benefit you. Even if it's a deal where it's Class C properties like we were buying, but just being able to control that and being able to use that as an asset or a building block down the road is tremendous for you. So we then segued into mobile home parks. Bought our first park in 2006. Sorry, I just smelled something burning. Wanted to check around, make sure nothing was on fire. My neighbor burns their trash, so as long as it's their trash and not my house. So we ended up segueing all of our apartment buildings into mobile home parks. And we bought our first mobile home park in 2010 maybe. I don't know. But we've since then sold every apartment building, 1031 into trailer parks. And, I can actually track a single family home that I bought for like 50 grand. I can track that to where I sold that and flipped it. I bought like a 6-unit apartment building. Then I bought an 18-unit apartment building, and I finally sold that into a 32-space mobile home park. The entire way with zero of my own money, which is just kind of amazing to look back and track that. But so we've been very good at leveraging houses and other forms of cheaper real estate, compiling those together. Our last park, we sold 10 of our houses that we own free and clear. Sold those through one of my wholesaler buddies, Chris Lyman, while I was on a boat in the Bahamas. We made $1 million and put that down on a new $2.7 million trailer park that we own that's not far from the ranch. So yeah, that's kind of what we do is we buy little things, we stack them together and sell them off for a big profit and buy bigger stuff. And now we get to reap the benefits.
So, I mean, the thing that's awesome about when I used to come to Phoenix and visit you guys and you and Joe, I mean, and I remember when your office was out of the Paradise Valley home, right? And,
Yeah.
and walking in and seeing, just there was a whole desk full of checkbooks and you had a couple of people working for you out of an office in a friend's house, right? And the story is so great because we would get in your truck. We were looking for deals for APS clients back in Australia, and I got to just observe Johnny and Joe at work, and it was literally all day, basically, and it was every day. So, what's the one thing looking back on how you got from the beginning in 2010 when Joe graduated from college and we kind of met up to where you are now in 10 years? I mean, what's they say success leaves clue. What's the clue? What's the big takeaway clue?
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, especially when it comes to people that are trying to get into the real estate game now. and looking back on what I went through, what we went through to get to where we're at. And I mean, number one, I would say consistency is the secret sauce, showing up and being consistent, and being able to work day in, day out. It's got to be something you love. It's got to be your passion, and you got to be able to roll with the punches, the highs and the lows. But I just all too often don't see people that are willing to put in the day to day, and everybody wants to get rich quick. And for us, it wasn't a get rich quick scheme, but it was consistency and it was sacrifice. And when I say sacrifice, what I mean is, after the GFC and we were able to buy houses at rock bottom, 20 cents on the dollar, everybody I knew was turning around and flipping those as fast as they could, because you could make $20, $50, $100,000, right? At the time that seemed, maybe we should be doing that, fill our pockets. But being back then, what would we do with it? We would have spent it on dumb stuff. And so while everybody was selling, we held, and we didn't sell a thing. And we were usually negative on those properties. And now everybody looks at me and says, I wish I wouldn't have sold. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have. I think I told you not to sell, but you did. Because it's that quick cash, that everybody wants that quick cash. But then you don't realize, well, I got to pay taxes on it. And then I spend it on, a new toy or a boat or something for the girlfriend or whatever. And so I think it's really consistency, because there's no secret sauce. Like I said, we've done every kind of deal under the sun. And it was really knowing that we wanted to buy houses, use them and leverage them as building blocks, and stay consistent on that and build our portfolio, and not chase maybe the greatest deal or go into developing houses or building houses or apartments. We kind of stuck to the one asset class. We got good at it and we did it. And we've done that time and time again with the houses, whether it's the apartments. We also do manufactured houses now. And each time we have always vertically integrated. And that's allowed us to cut costs and scale. But we have been consistent with our work since the beginning. Of course, I'll just be honest, I don't work half as much anymore, but that's okay. That's a good thing. But it's about being consistency. So if you want to make it in this real estate game, you got to be consistent. You got to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. And you got to own and control real estate. You've got to learn about the financing part of it. Okay, because if you're going to hold them, then you got to finally have long-term financing on those. You got to minimize how many partners you have on the deal. You got to learn property management. And you got to find a partner. I mean, it's a whole lot easier if you do have a partner. And like John Carney says, real estate's a team sport. And I loved his book and how he put that out there. That is the perfect way to start your team and all the key players you need. But consistency and some sacrifice.
And that's sound advice. And it's interesting because lately I've been putting together, groups of people, putting some people in a room, which is harder now. We're looking to hold our second kind of round table. There's 10 people. And it is kind of merging some of my friends in commercial real estate here locally in Cleveland who are successful on the construction side, the title lending side. And then folks who've come and said, well, our business is doing great. I want to get into multifamily or commercial real estate. And say, great. You got to start by networking, by the word of mouth. And then it's like, well, and don't chase shiny objects. But when you know what you want, I feel, that when you know what you want and you go into a market, whether it's your backyard or another market, and you've made that commitment, that when you get deal one, before, as soon as that's under your belt, and not soon after, deal opportunity number two arises. You don't have to say yes to everything, but once you kind of pull the trigger or plant your stake, the more opportunity just seems to be attracted. Have you guys experienced that?
Oh yeah. I mean, firm believer, and the harder you work, the more opportunities you get. We're a big believer in the power of the universe and manifestation. In fact, that first year, and I said, Joe, we're going to buy, I think it was 100 houses. And he's like, no way. There's no way. I said, we're going to do it. And we put it on paper. We put it in the office, tacked it to the wall behind the computer. And sure enough, we did. and did that again with the apartments. And, thinking is believing, and thoughts become things. And if you're going to do something, then do it well. We were also very good at mitigating our risk. We didn't go after all the big shiny things or the bigger flips that may have a grand slam opportunity, but we like base hits and the occasional double much more. It was the bread and butter. And it's all about the harder you work, the more opportunities that will come. But you got to put your mind to it and get synchronized with your partner, create some synergy, and go out and do it.
That is, and you guys did it well. So what's next? Like, what do you have on your horizon as far as I would say that everybody wants to get in the game to end up, where you're sitting, right? You can do so much today, much more in 2020 with a phone than you could in 2010. Right. And I mean, the speed of information and the way to network and connect and be able to use your phone as a computer, or even you have you're on your iPad, right? We're doing a Zoom call and you're 100 miles from downtown Phoenix.
At the ranch. Yeah, it's amazing.
So that just wasn't around. No. I got a I got a laptop, a mic, and a camera, and I can do this anywhere. Just happened to be at my office today. But so I mean, you get into that is sort of where I think a lot of people they're looking at where you are now and say, that's how do I get there? And you've clearly stated multiple times that it just takes consistency in hard work, right? Is there any other, is it in a good partner, but all the things that we've always talked about, and that's just all good advice. So what is next now that you can spend more time out at the ranch and less time in the city? What are you guys looking to do is the next decade that's here? We're starting the next decade, man.
Yeah. So definitely more parks, bigger parks. We're definitely blessed to have a great staff. We've got an office down in Phoenix, and we're fortunate enough to have some great gals and guys that work with us that allow my partner to live at Newport Beach, for me to live up here at the ranch. So that's first and foremost, and that's critical. Take care of your employees, pay them well, treat them well, respect them, and they will return the favor tenfold. So that's number one. Allows us to be doing what we're doing. We just sold a monster deal. I think I told you in July, which was great. It was one of the first deals where we actually took the cash. We're big believers in using 1031 tax deferred exchanges and reverse exchanges. And this deal, we decided to take the cash. So that was fun to get a nice payday and put some cash in the bank. I do have one exchange going on with that deal, which I just locked up 2 up legs for it, a 1.9 and a $1.2 million park. So we'll go ahead and close those. And we got a verbal on a new monster $9 million park, which is going to be amazing. So I could probably just do nothing and just close on these 2 deals and work on closing that $9 million deal. And I think I'd be happy. And so would Joe. But what it allows us to do, like I said, is to go after and to pick and choose the deals you want to do and go after those bigger deals. As we talked about, my first park I bought was a 32 space park bought it for $365,000. Okay. And now looking back on that, it takes the same amount of energy to own and operate a 32 space park as it does a 150 space park or a 200 space park. So once you realize that and get in that mindset, allows you to do bigger and better deals and, up your game each time you get to a certain level. So now we're, looking at, I think this is a 154 space park. So that'll be kind of fun to close a $9 million deal when it happens, and close out this 1031 with these 2 deals. And then beyond that, I think we're looking at maybe starting up a nonprofit and doing some of that stuff, and buying a boat and cruising the ocean in Southern California waters out of Newport Beach. That's really what we're going to be up to.
Catching some big fish.
Yep.
So back to the start of a 30 to 40 space park. How important is it for someone that wants to learn the basics there? I feel that there has to be a stepping stone progression. Let's just keep the math simple for me, 50 to 100, 100 to 150. I mean, if you've got to get the experience in the asset class, well, pick an asset class. It could be small.
any asset class, and we never used any fee-based managers or any third-party managers, and that's what I tell everybody. Because if you're using managers, and that's okay to do too, you're only as good as however they're performing, right? And so even if you do, always good to jump in, get your feet wet, walk the properties, get to know the tenants, be with your vendors that are doing the rehab, be there if there's any tenant problems or issues, and just walk your properties. That's number one. You do that, you're going to learn so much. It does make sense to get your feet wet on a smaller park. And once again, it depends on how distressed it is and or not. Somebody that's just getting into this could buy a more turnkey property right off the bat. We go after distressed properties, so more times than not, they're not turnkey. And I'd say 95% of all our properties we've bought, we've had to, fill, go in and force appreciation, and all that takes educate. You got to be educated on where to find the mobile homes that you're going to bring in. How do you find those in your specific market? Whether it's auctions, other wholesalers, movers, et cetera. Those are things that you don't know until you do it. And then you got to have the right maintenance crew and rehab crew to come in and be able to rehab those, make it cost effective. Certainly have to have the right manager in place to kick all the bad apples out, just as any property or any asset class. You know how that goes. One bad apple can spoil a bunch. And then being able to run a park on your own. And so it really just is getting out there and doing it. Amazing how much you'll learn if you actually walk the property. You deal with tenant issues, you deal with your maintenance people, you deal with your managers on a one-on-one basis. And it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of having the consistency and the desire to be successful, and the rest will follow.
Yeah, I like that. And in property managers, man, I mean, they're finding the right one, folks, it takes time and effort to find the right property manager. We're sort of always looking, even though we got our team in place, but who they are. I mean, bad apples. We have a nice property in Cleveland on the lake with a pool, and we were able to open it for our residents. And our market right now, downtown, I would imagine any city USA is pretty cutthroat on leasing and trying to maintain a 9 in front of your occupancy number right now. And we had to let 4 people out of leases, at this property, because when we opened the pool, they weren't following the rules. Right. And it was such a hard call, because those 4 people represent 2%. And we knew we had to fight hard, not only for our staff to stay healthy, but for the rest of the resident population, based on the behavior of a few. And I mean, and so that decision was made in July. Right now we're at the end of September 2020, and we're we've clawed them back, but we were shaking our head at the end of August, going into September, when that showed up on our vacancy report. But I mean,
Got to show them there's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah, and it's not where we wanted to be, especially since this is an asset we're looking to refinance in the fall, right? So every lease matters, always, all the time, right? So
it does. That's what another thing we do with our parks. Once we take ownership, immediately we go in there, we find the worst tenant that's got the junk, or that's been, just causing problems. And obviously everything we do is within the Landlord Tenant Act, what we can do there. But we go in there and we evict them right off the bat. Say, sorry, we don't play around. You want to mess around, go in somebody else's park. I want to make this a nice family friendly park. No drugs, no breaking the law, no doing anything criminal, and you're out. And once we do that to a few people understand, like, don't mess around with these owners, because I don't give a shit. I will evict your ass so quickly if you are going to screw up the park.
Part of the landlord game, everybody. But, if you can locate, the key player on any real estate team in any asset class is your property manager and their ability to navigate, a tenant population, build a community, right? I believe the community is a reflection, direct reflection of the personality of your property manager, and you get great people, and you surround yourself with great people. The success is not far away from that. Well, Johnny,
I think the managers are a reflection of the owners, and you want them to act as if they're you. Everything that they do will have a cause and effect, and yeah, you're 100% right about that.
Pretty cool. I mean, to see it play out. I mean, there's always something. There's a challenge every day, but maybe that's why we like it.
Never a dull day in this real estate market. And John Carney, this wasn't easy getting here. I'm blessed as heck to be where I'm at now, and thank God for my partner and everybody else that's been there along the way. And my experience with you guys, we had a lot of fun coming out to Australia, mate.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't easy. Never was easy. Lost everything twice, and every little thorn along the way has helped me become a better investor and the guy that I am today.
I mean, I can envision well, I'm assuming you're getting a loan for a $9 million mobile home park, and that's probably 80 to 100 pages of put you to bed reading.
Yeah. And we've got one of the greatest relationships with the local smaller bank. That's awesome. And those are extremely valuable once you can obtain one of those. So.
That's super cool. Hey, when we wind this down, I like to ask everybody, Johnny, like, is there a book you've picked up recently that you'd recommend people read, or it could be an audio book, a podcast, whatever you're, that's keeping you going?
God, you know what? So I gave up reading a while ago for Lent, and I haven't picked it up yet. I'm kind of one of those guys that just likes to thumb through pages. So I don't have any good advice there for a book. I've kind of just spent a lot of time out here under the stars doing some soul searching, and maybe writing the chapters of my own book.
That's awesome. Hey, there's nothing wrong.
I'm
with,
sure I do, but off the top of my head, I don't have any referrals for you for a book, but
well, so I got a fire pit for Father's Day, and you say, why do you need a fire pit in the middle of a Cleveland summer in the suburbs? But we're firing it up now that there's a change of season. And I had to explain to the kids the other day, we're going to build a fire, and that doesn't mean you get to roast marshmallows and eat garbage before bed. So if you want a fire, they're good. They crumple up the paper. We're learning how to build fires. And like I said, this is caveman TV. Okay, so if we build the fire, you can just hang out around the fire because, sort of probably what you've built. If you have a campfire at the ranch, I imagine everybody around that campfire are the people you want around the campfire.
Yeah.
So that was kind of so caveman TV, that's what they call it now. And that's just as good.
It's staring at a fire. Nothing better.
It's just as good. I mean, we've covered a lot of your one pro tip. We covered a lot of bases, but if you could kind of give us one soundbite that'll look good on a show note.
One pro tip for your listeners. I would say go deeper into how you're trying to find your properties. Maybe go past the conventional ways of a realtor, stuff that's listed, but really kind of drill down and reverse design the properties that you want to get that will allow you to get the better deals. Because right now there's so much competition. So what I mean by that is maybe if you're looking into doing probate or tax lien sales, really kind of figure out maybe where you want to get the deals from, and then reverse engineer it so that you can find out the ways to do it yourself. That's what really is set me apart from a lot of my competitors, is not just me going to a realtor saying, hey, find me a good deal, but really learning how to farm your data, research it, and then find out who your prospects are and go after those good deals that everybody else wants. That's the tip.
Nice. Sound tip, Johnny. All right, man. Well, we are getting ready to wind this down. And before I do, have I sent you a copy of this yet? 10,000 miles to the American
No,
dream?
but I wanted to buy it online, and you said it'd be in the mail. So no, I haven't gotten it yet though, but I'd love to read it.
Okay. Well, I left it here as a reminder. So why don't you shoot me your best postal address, whether it's your office or your ranch, and I'll put this copy right here out in the mail to you today. And then for the listeners, since this is episode number 100, we have, the real estate mates, the group of authors that put 10,000 miles to the American dream out. We're going to give away 100 copies of this. And so all you have to do is go onto your preferred podcasting platform, leave a review, send me the screenshot to John at johncarneyonline.com, or you can track me down on Facebook or Instagram. I'm pretty sure I'm easy to find. And then send me the screenshot on a DM with your mailing address, and we're going to launch this out. And that's a new campaign that we're starting today. So, well, thanks for joining me today from the ranch, Johnny. Is there a place where people in the audience can reach out and find you?
Yeah, come find me at the ranch. It's John at jjrealestateholdings.com. Our website is www.jjrealestateholdings.com.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that gets to the show notes. Well, there you have it, folks. I truly hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, catching up with Mr. Johnny Williams out there.
Always good time hanging out with you, buddy.
All right. Well, remember, folks, to stay focused on your goals, have fun, stay in the game. And until next time, let's work hard, play hard, and raise the bar. All right, Johnny, enjoy the rest of your day.
Adios. I will. You too.